All right, we're ready to apply our Skraffino gray. There's a couple ways that you can apply it. It really depends on what your desired finish is. You know, some applicators prefer a traditional hand trowel. Others prefer this tool, which is a variation of a squeegee that's called a magic trowel. Actually, this was derived from the faux finish world for decorative plasters, and we found that it really works quite nicely for putting a skim coat like Skraffino down. So we're going to go ahead and show you both methods. We'll just dump some of the material right here, Mr. Brian. And then we'll talk about it here a little more. That'll do. So when you're putting this material down, remember this can be used both inside or out. So it's an exterior or an interior product. So say, for example, this was a patio or a driveway or a walkway. One of the things that does not look good is to not treat the edge of the material, or the side of the concrete, the existing concrete. So what I like to do is just go ahead and let it run right over the side, like that. So at a minimum, it's the same color. And Brian, if you wouldn't mind just taking a brush and just kind of brushing that edge. Another common thing that I see is, you know, most exterior concrete has existing joints. So it's okay to go ahead and let a little bit of this material just kind of ooze down in your existing contraction joint over here. And then what we'll do is just take a paintbrush and brush it right back out of the joint, like so. So now we're not building it up real thick, but at least the joint is the same color simply by just brushing it out like you see me doing right here. So that's a really nice way of addressing your existing joints in your concrete, okay? So the hand trowel, if I push too hard, we're going to get little comet trails from the coarsest sands in here, like this. So with that material in the first coat anyways, that's too hard. I'm pushing too hard, okay? And so I'm just putting this material down at about the thickness of the actual sands that are in the mix. So this is how fast, if this was a job here outside, we'd just be brushing the joints like so. You never want to build this in a real thick layer. It's okay to let it dry in between coats and keep layering, but you never want to put this material down 1/4 of an inch thick or anything like that. That's entirely too thick. So we're going to just keep building, okay? So now I'm going to come right back over here and continue our application on the side there. Brian's going to brush that edge. All right, I've roughly applied, let's say, a 3-foot pass. I just got the material out there kind of quick. Now I'm going to go and what I call refine it, okay? Meaning we've kind of dispersed the material. I'm going to clean my trowel. Now I'm just going to simply come back and take a few of the trowel ridges out. Each time what I do is I clean my trowel. The goal is to not leave any substantial ridges, despite the fact we're going to sand it. So you'll notice my trowel pattern too. I don't just do this. That doesn't look organic. So in the event, perhaps we had unlevel concrete that we do get some trowel lines, it looks natural to have overlapping patterns. Now, especially if we were to come back and stain it, it actually adds some interest. That's how the hand trowel works. Now we're going to talk about the magic trowel. All right, dump me a little bit more, please. You're right there is fine. Okay, so the way the magic trowel works, a lot of people are not aware there's a definite technique to using the magic trowel. And what I'm talking about is when I'm going one direction, I want you to focus in on my hand here. If I'm going this way from the left to the right, I'm actually taking my thumbs and I'm twisting the handle. And what that does is it puts more pressure over here, thus feather edging out here. Conversely, if I turn and come back this way, I'm actually twisting the handle to the right, feather edging the outer edge. So I'm going to demonstrate real slow. So I'm now feather edging, as you see here. And I also want you to see this one little pass that I do over here. I clean it after every single pass. I just want to get that buildup of material off of my blade. And as you can see, it lays it down really nice and flat. So this is a great way to put the Skraffino down. Now, I just, for demonstration purposes, want to show you, if I wasn't putting tension on the handle, in other words, if I was just running it straight, do you see that line right there? That's what we're trying to avoid. So simply by twisting the handle, it blends and makes the line fade into the surface. Okay, so we'll finish this out with the magic trowel. One other tip with the magic trowel I see beginners make is, and we're done with that trowel, is let's say, for example, there's a problem right here. In other words, they needed to fix something out here. The natural tendency for a beginner is to take the magic trowel and simply reach out and try to fix it. Now look what I've done, is I've created another line. So you never want to reach out like that. Here is the problem area that we're trying to fix. I'm always going to start over here by my side. I'm going to start here, fix the problem, finish over here to my side. So the point is, don't ever just reach out like that, because you'll never make that line go away. As you can see, as I'm talking my way through this application, to be honest, it's a very easy application. It's a pretty quick application once you learn how to work with this material. Okay, there you have it. That's our first application of Skraffino. Depending on substrate and ambient temperatures, we're going to come back probably in about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And we're going to sand this with a 120 grit screen, and we're going to knock off any little nibs or ridges, and we're ready to go on to the next application, which is going to be the Skraffino Fine. We're getting ready to apply our second application of Skraffino Fine. So remember, on our first application, what we did is we applied a nice coat of Skraffino Regular Gray, and about 10 hours has transpired. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to use a sanding screen or sandpaper on the bottom of our machine, and we're going to sand it. Remember, it's not always necessary to sand it. If you put the skim coat down with no trowel lines or any divots or anything, there's really no reason to sand it. And if you come back within 4 hours, you can simply sprinkle some water on it, SSD, saturated surface dry, and you can go right onto the surface with your second coat of Skraffino Fine. In this case, since 10 hours has elapsed, and we want to demonstrate for the purpose of the video, we're going to go ahead and show you sanding. If you sand it, you need to reprime with a diluted coat of CP1000 at 1 part water to 1 part CP1000. Also, if you exceed that 4-hour window, you need to also apply another coat of the diluted CP1000. So let's demonstrate how we sand this. Okay, so if there were any ridges or perhaps a little nib, what it's done is it's knocked it off perfectly perfectly level and flush, and it's actually, I can see a sheen, and believe it or not, it's starting to polish. So from here, we're going to have Brian start to vacuum this, and once it's all vacuumed up, it's time to apply our CP1000. We've just finished sanding our panel of Skraffino regular gray. We did use a 100 grit sanding screen on the bottom of the machine. It's now been vacuumed. There's no residual dust. It's time to apply our diluted primer. Now on a much larger project, you can just fog spray on, and it's not a bad idea to just have somebody quickly back rolling to help force it down in the pores. Here we're just going to go ahead and dump some on here, and we're going to roll it. So it's real simple. As soon as the material is dry, meaning there's no damp spots, and it's tack-free. When you touch it, it's no longer sticky. You're ready to go right on to your next step and apply your Skraffino fine. We're back on our Skraffino panel. If you remember, what we did is we sanded it, we vacuumed it up, and what we did is we applied a coat, a prime coat of CP1000 diluted at 1 part water to 1 part CP1000. It's been drying now for 2 to 3 hours, and we're about to apply our second coat. The coat that we're applying is Skraffino White Fine, but we're going to show you how to tint it using a product that's called Color Fast. Color Fast comes in 24 colors. If you look at the color chart, that's based on a 1 cup tint load. For today's demonstration, we're simply going to put a half a cup. We don't want to go quite that dark, so we're just going to put a half a cup. So the way that this works is we have our measure bucket, 4.6 liters cut out. Remember, for speed, we fill our garbage can with the CP1000, pre-mix it, and then you can just submerge your bucket right into here, put it on your shelf. That way you're not sitting here weighing each liter. So you're going to start with always putting the liquid into the bucket. Never start with the powder first in the bucket. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add our Color Fast. This color is charcoal suede, which is kind of a dark brown black. And we're going to put it into the CP1000. And then we're going to start mixing that for about 30 seconds to 1 minute. And then when Brian's mixing that, I'm going to get our Skraffino White Fine ready. Remember, turn it over, roll it, so when we go to dump it, it just doesn't fall out in a big clump. So here we go. Okay, you can start mixing that. Okay, so it's all good and mixed up, so we're going to take a short break. We're going to put our dust masks on, and then we'll start mixing. We've just mixed our Skraffino White Fine that we tinted with Color Fast, charcoal suede color. Now it's time to apply it. We demonstrated on our first coat of Skraffino, there's several ways that you can actually apply the material. One is with the magic trowel. If you're going for more of a monochromatic, meaning one solid color look, this is the way to go. But if you're trying to create interest into your floor where it looks organic and it has some texture to it, go ahead and use the trowels. And I'll just show you some basic texturing techniques. Keep in mind, we're going to, at a later date, we're going to come back and acid stain over the top of this, but the fact that we've tinted this material could be your finished floor. Put a clear coat over the top and you've got a really dynamite looking floor, so not all the time is it necessary to add additional topical colors like stains or dyes. All right, so let's dump some right here. That's good. Now, just as a reminder, remember we on our first coat, we had Brian brushing if this was an exterior application. Certainly you can see the different color, so you would want to follow suit and just have somebody brushing the sides. If this was the joint, like on a driveway, you would treat it the same way with a paintbrush. Go ahead and let the material flow in there and then just brush it back out. All right, here we go. Let's put our Skraffino fine down. All right, the nice thing about Skraffino, if you choose to, you can come back and create texture, and I'll show you what I mean. Sometimes you might get a little bit of a streak. You just go ahead and crush it like that. So what I mean by create texture, a lot of times we'll actually come back here like so, and just take your trowel and then lightly knock it down, just ever so slightly. And what happens is the low areas that you see there will take the stain a much different color. So it's just a nice way to add some interest to your floor here, just by creating texture like that. Also, by running your trowel flat, as opposed to caulking it like that, works nice. All right, I'll take a little over there.